Where do you start when it comes to breaking into tech sales?
You don't need experience. You do not need a degree. You do not need connections. You do not need any of these prerequisites to get into tech sales. Baseline. Anyone can get into tech sales no matter where you're coming from, no matter what age you are, no matter what you look like, no matter what your name is. So you must believe in that. That is a fundamental truth. Once you get to that point and you realize I can do it too, and this is what I want, which you must believe you can do it and you must want it. You must be committed to seeing it through. Once you're at that place, then there are practical steps you can follow that I'll talk about right now.
1 second. Actually paint a picture of, you said once you're committed, you obviously need a strong why. What was your why when you broke into tech sales? Or that'd be helpful.
The way I got hired is I was a senior in college and I hadn't really done a whole lot up until that point. I was in a few student organizations. I dog sat the previous summer. I did some one-off jobs like painting, mowing lawns. That's what I did in the summers. I was a nanny for 2 of the 4 summers in college.
Yeah,
for 2 small kids. I was a nanny. I'd take them to the movies and like that's what I would do.
From nanny to tech sales.
Yeah, and I mowed lawns one of the summers too. That's what I did. So that's what I did. I did one-off jobs. So I never came from this traditional, I've got all the answers figured out. My dream at the time was to get a sales job in a big city. That was the dream. And I would start writing it down every day. So what I did was I was in college. I was in a sales program that I was not very active in. And I heard that we were having a career fair. So very lucky. Not everyone has access to resources like that. There's 50 companies coming to campus to try and hire people in that student organization for sales jobs. I looked at all the companies and I filtered out who was hiring for sales jobs outside of Ohio. That was it. Once I had the 7 companies, I wrote them down and I made a point to go up to them at the career fair and say, "Hello, I'm Trent. I'd like to work for you. Can I get an interview?" And one of them said, "Yeah, we're doing interviews tomorrow on campus. Let's talk." And that's what started my candidate process for the software company I began my career at. But I also spoke with dozens of other companies. I did dozens of interviews. I was rejected a lot of the time. I got an offer at Camping World. I almost sold RVs. I got an offer at a manufacturing company so I almost moved to some random dark Midwest town to sell whatever turbines they were doing. I feel like tech chose me. I didn't know what it was or the benefits of it. I never had access to information like this.
Interesting.
It just seemed like I had the best experience speaking with those recruiters, and culturally it felt right to me. It just intuitive. It felt right. It was a $40,000 on target earning SDR job I accepted.
40,000 on target?
40,000 on target.
Like that wasn't your base.
40,000 on target earning. It was like 39,000 something. They ended up updating it to like 50,000, I think it was, maybe 60,000. But it was a low. But I didn't have any sense of what I should be making, or I didn't have information like this to know what to look for. Because if I knew what I know now, what I would have done earlier on is I would go for all the big dogs. I would apply to Salesforce. I would apply to HubSpot. I would apply to the top 50 software companies.
Snowflake
to start.
Snowflake.
I'd apply to all the best companies. Yeah, that's what I would do, but I didn't know that I could do that.
Hey everybody, it's Trent. Are you looking to land a remote sales position where you could be making over $70,000 per year with no degree or prior experience required? Most people have no idea what it takes to break into tech sales and waste countless hours and tons of money trying to do it by themselves doesn't work, or enrolling in expensive boot camps. Now that's exactly why I put together an entire free course that explains exactly what you need to do to land your first tech sales position with no degree or prior experience required. The free course explains exactly what you need to learn, the skills you need to master, and how to prepare so that you can actually land your first tech sales position. Now click the link below, sign up for the free course so that you can break into tech sales and start making $70,000 per year.
Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I love that, like what you would have done if you knew what you knew now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Totally.
So, yeah. Okay. And so I love how direct you were. You're just like, you asked for an interview. Going back to the theme of ask for what you want in life. And when similar thing, I was in college and Oracle came to campus and I went to the recruiter, Sean, and I was just like, bring me in. I'm going to make it happen. I was like really in a zone at that moment. I was confident and I kept it simple. I wanted to interview. And I think there's just beauty in that. And I'm curious if you have ideas to riff off on based on what I just said, feel free. But I also wanted to ask you about how we could apply this directness to like outbound networking on LinkedIn for folks that don't have a career fair, or like how to create warm inroads. So
I want to close the loop on that for someone that has none of the degrees or connections, doesn't have access to a college career fair, which a lot of people don't. How do you break into tech sales if that is your objective? So if that's the objective, you got to start writing that down every day. I have a sales job, and be very clear on what you want. Do you want to work fully remote? Do you want to move to a new city? Do you want to be hybrid? Do you want to work for a big company, small company? You got to be very clear on the intention, opposed to just blanket applying to hundreds of companies, auto apply. That never really pans out well for most people.
100% agree.
So what you do, and what I'd recommend, is you are deploying the same set of sales skills to get a sales job as you are in the sales job. Think about that. So you will be selling yourself. You are the product. You are the outcome. What problem are you solving? You're solving the company's need to generate more revenue and to hire for that specific role. So you need to understand what you would be doing. And when they ask, hey, so Chris, why should I hire you? Why are you different from the 100 other qualified people with a bachelor degree that want this role? You got to be able to answer that question. So to put yourself in that position, it's the same thing as a sales process. Treat it like a sales process. Who are the top 10 companies you want to work for? Write them down. What job in those companies do you want? Link that in your Google Doc, whatever you're doing to track this. Apply to that job. You're just going to submit a resume. Once you apply, here's what you do to differentiate yourself. And this worked for me. Identify who within the company could be responsible for hiring that position. So you want to look for talent acquisition, recruiters, hiring managers, and then additionally, the actual sales leaders, the team you may be on. So the director of sales development, SDR manager, sales manager, VP of sales. Get all of these people in a spreadsheet and start reaching out to them. And what I'd recommend doing, and this is what I did this summer because I was considering getting back into tech. I wanted it. I did an extensive research process. I said, I want to work for a venture capital funded tech unicorn in Silicon Valley. I'll have an exit one day. I identified the top company on my list. They're selling HR software, which I have experience in. I applied to the role. I connected with 5 different people on LinkedIn. I didn't send them some spammy, hey, let's meet. I just sent them a blank connection request. And then I cold emailed them the next day. I said, are you still hiring for the enterprise account executive position? ? I recently applied. I'm interested. I bring 5 years of software sales experience. I've closed $1.54 million in ARR. Although I don't meet your 10 years of experience, I was way underqualified. Here's a video of me explaining why I think I'd be a good fit. I made an 8-minute video of me selling their product to them. Anyways, thanks for considering me. Hope to hear from you soon. Within 2 hours, I get 2 responses from the VP of sales and the sales manager. They both respond to me and CC on the recruiter. And they say, hey, impressive application. You can meet with Susie, whoever. And then she sends me her calendar link. I get an interview on Monday. I don't end up getting the job. But the point of that story is, if you're willing to do what other people are not willing to do, you can stand out. Because in this market, it's very hard to stand out. Anyone can apply, but not everyone can stand out. You must get their attention and get them to give you an interview. At that point, you're on your own and you've got to crush the interviews, and we can talk about that. Yeah. But the whole point of this is you got to be excited about the company you want to work for, and you got to be willing to put in 2 to 3 hours of research so that you can then do something like that, because what I just described will work every time. It'll work if you do that.